3 months ago, Tom Pearson was the undisputed king of the Saints flanker corps. The 25-year-old's rise from London Irish refugee to Premiership standout was the feel-good story rugby desperately needed during the financial collapse that reshuffled the English club landscape. His thunderous carries and leadership qualities had even prompted whispers of future England captaincy from those inside the national setup. That was 3 months ago. Today, Pearson is a man unraveling before our eyes, and the catalyst has a name: Henry Pollock. At just 20 years old, Pollock arrived at Saints preseason training camp with nothing but a handful of senior appearances and a reputation as one to watch. 8 training sessions later, he's watching all right, watching as the veterans around him scramble to match his intensity, his precision, his raw hunger. Most notably, he's watching Tom Pearson crumble under the weight of comparison. It started with small things. Confides one Saints staff member who requested anonymity. Tom would miss an assignment in defense, then overcompensate on the next play. He'd take the wrong angle, then force a turnover as if to say, "See, still got it." But you could tell something was off. The fluidity wasn't there. By Wednesday's morning session, that something had morphed into something unmistakable: fear. Fear looks different on elite athletes than it does on the rest of us. It doesn't announce itself with trembling hands or sweaty palms. Instead, it manifests in hesitation, milliseconds of doubt that separate the good from the great, the starters from the reserves. For Pearson, it was a split-second delay before hitting the tackle pads, a fraction of hesitation when calling defensive alignments. The extra beat it took him to process play calls that once came as naturally as breathing. There was this moment during live tackling. Another source within the coaching staff reveals Pollock had just put Saints hooker Curtis Langdon on his back with this textbook tackle: perfect technique, explosive power. Everyone felt it. Then on the next phase, Tom came in high, missed his wrap, and Langdon broke through. The whole field went quiet. It was like watching a changing of the guard in real time. Coaches Phil Dowson and Sam Vesti exchanged glances but said nothing. They didn't need to. The tension crackled like static electricity. Training camps are pressure cookers by design. They're meant to push athletes to their breaking points, to separate those who thrive under pressure from those who merely survive it. But what happens when a young lion doesn't just challenge the pride's leader, but systematically dismantles him, piece by psychological piece? By Thursday afternoon, teammates had begun gravitating toward Pollock during water breaks. It was subtle at first. A question here, a compliment there. By Friday, it was unmistakable. The energy of the squad had shifted. The invisible current of influence redirected toward the younger man. Tom's body language changed. Notes a member of the physio team. He started isolating himself. During breakdown drills, he got into it with fellow flanker Aaron Hinckley. Nothing major, but you could see the frustration boiling over. Tom kept saying, "That's not how we do it here." And Hinckley just looked at Pollock and shrugged. The coaching staff's reluctance to intervene speaks volumes. Director of Rugby Phil Dowson, himself a former back row stalwart, recognizes what's unfolding, but appears content to let this natural selection play out on the training pitch rather than in selection meetings. But make no mistake, selection decisions are looming. With the Premiership kickoff just weeks away, sources indicate Pearson may not only lose his starting spot, but could find himself dropped from the matchday 23 entirely. It's not just about form, insists one senior player. It's about energy. What Henry brings isn't just skill, it's this infectious intensity that elevates everyone around him. When he's flying into rucks, everyone wants to match that level. When Tom's playing tentatively, it has the opposite effect. The contrast couldn't be more stark. Where Pearson now second-guesses his every move, Pollock operates on pure instinct, a rugby savant whose understanding of space and timing belies his years. During Friday's opposed session, Pollock dominated in ways statistics can't capture. His tackle count wasn't just impressive, it was flawless. 0 missed tackles, 0 penalties conceded, 3 turnovers won. But it was the manner of his performance that left onlookers speechless. "There's a cleanness to his work," observes one assistant coach. "Everything is precise, economical, no wasted movement." Tom's always been a powerful athlete, but Henry has this efficiency. It's like watching a scalpel work alongside a sledgehammer. The sledgehammer has begun to swing wildly. Pearson, once celebrated for his controlled aggression, has started forcing plays, hunting highlight moments rather than executing his role within the system. It's the classic death spiral of an athlete trying to prove his worth rather than simply expressing it. During one particularly telling sequence, Pearson over-pursued a gap, leaving an entire channel exposed. When quarterbacks coach Sam Vesti pointed out the error, witnesses described Pearson's response as dismissive and defensive. Minutes later, Pollock read an identical play perfectly, made his tackle behind the gain line, then immediately bounced to his feet to contest the ruck, creating a turnover opportunity that left even veteran teammates nodding in appreciation. "You can't teach what Pollock has," states a former England international who observed Thursday's session. "That spatial awareness, that timing, it's innate. Some players spend a decade in the Premiership and never develop that feel for the game. He's got it at 20. This isn't Pollock's first brush with accelerated development. His progression through the Saints Academy raised eyebrows from day one. At 18, he was already dominating the Premiership Rugby Cup, a competition typically used to blood players several years his senior. By 19, he'd made his Premiership debut, announcing himself with a performance against Bristol that had pundits scrambling for superlatives. But it's one thing to shine in cameo appearances. It's another entirely to usurp an established international, especially one with Pearson's pedigree. What makes this power struggle particularly fascinating is how it contradicts the narrative Saints carefully constructed just months ago. After securing Pearson from the London Irish collapse, the club positioned him as a cornerstone of their future, a leader whose best years lay ahead. Marketing materials featured his imposing frame. Season ticket renewals went out with his signature on the letters. Now, club officials find themselves in an awkward position. How do you pivot from one standard bearer to another without acknowledging the former's fall from grace? The answer, it seems, is to let the training ground tell the story. "Everyone can see it," says a member of the recruitment team. "The coaches don't need to make pronouncements. The players know, Tom knows. When the team sheet goes up for that first Premiership match, nobody will be surprised to see Henry's name in the starting 11." Pearson's dramatic unraveling raises questions that extend beyond selection. Has the pressure of expectation, both from within and without, crushed his confidence beyond repair? Is this a temporary dip or a permanent decline? And perhaps most importantly, can he reinvent himself in a new role, or will pride prevent adaptation? The financial realities of modern rugby complicate matters further. Having invested significantly in Pearson's contract, Saints now face the prospect of carrying an expensive asset on the bench, or worse, in the stands. Player trading in the Premiership remains limited by salary cap constraints, making a quick resolution unlikely. For Pollock, meanwhile, the path forward appears blindingly bright. Already training with England's shadow squad during the summer, his rise at club level will only accelerate international recognition. Former England flanker Tom Wood, himself a Saints legend, recently described Pollock as the most natural open side I've seen come through the English system since Sam Underhill. High praise indeed, but the evidence supports such claims. Pollock's breakdown work, that crucial ability to either secure or steal possession, ranks among the best in training metrics. His tackle technique combines textbook form with explosive power, but it's his decision-making that truly separates him. knowing when to commit to rucks, when to hold the defensive line, when to become a link player in attack. He's processing the game at a different speed, notes one senior player. While everyone else is reacting, he's already 3 phases ahead. You can't defend against that kind of intelligence. You can only hope to contain it. The irony is that just months ago, these same compliments were being paid to Pearson. Rugby's wheel of fortune spins quickly, sometimes brutally so. Yesterday's next big thing becomes today's cautionary tale with alarming speed. As Saints prepare to announce their squad for next weekend's preseason friendly against Bath, the whispers have become roars. Pollock will start. Pearson may not even make the bench. The decision, once unthinkable, now feels inevitable. The hardest part, confides one coach, is watching someone like Tom, who's done everything right, who's been the ultimate professional, suddenly look ordinary. This game can be cruel. One month you're untouchable, the next you're fighting for your career. Fighting, but apparently losing. For Saints supporters, this changing of the guard brings mixed emotions. Loyalty to established players battles with excitement for fresh talent. But rugby has never been a sport for sentimentalists. Performance trumps pedigree every time. What we're witnessing at Franklin's Gardens isn't just a selection battle, it's the birth of a new era, the Pollock era. An era that promises to feature breakdown dominance, defensive intelligence, and the kind of raw charisma that sells jerseys and fills stadiums. For Tom Pearson, the challenge now becomes reinvention. Can he harness this adversity, reshape his game, and find new ways to contribute? History suggests some athletes use such moments as fuel for remarkable comebacks. Others never quite recover their former standing. As darkness falls over Northampton tonight, 2 men lie awake, contemplating drastically different futures. One sees limitless possibility, the other faces uncomfortable questions. But the training ground tells no lies, shows no favoritism, offers no comfort to the fallen. The future of Northampton's back row isn't waiting patiently in the wings. It isn't developing gradually or paying its dues. It isn't asking permission or apologizing for its arrival. The future is already here, wearing the Saints jersey with a confidence that can't be taught and an intensity that can't be faked. The future has a name, and that name is Henry Pollock. Tom Pearson's time hasn't just passed. It's been snatched away in broad daylight, in front of teammates and coaches alike, by a 20-year-old who refuses to wait his turn. Rugby has always been a young man's game. This week at Franklin's Gardens, that brutal truth has never been more evident